Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day, there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And today is going to be a great program. I'm going to learn a lot because I'm talking with someone about something that I have virtually no knowledge of. And so this will be great fun. But we're also going to be talking to an entrepreneur who has done some things that are absolutely incredible. So please join me in welcoming Greg Selkoe to our program today. Welcome, Greg. How are you?
Good, thanks. Glad to be here. I'm great.
Great. Well, let me tell people just a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into this. So
Sounds
Greg
good.
Selkoe is co-founder and CEO of XSET, a gaming, lifestyle brand and media company creating content with top creators and celebrities across YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. Previously, as the co-head of Faze Clan,
Phase Clan.
Phase, there we go, Phase Clan. You can tell that this is not my arena. He was the co-head of Phase Clan, and he scaled that company to $36 million in annual revenue in just 2 years. He also founded Karma Loop, generating over $1 billion in lifetime revenue as the CEO. He is a Harvard MPP graduate, so smart dude, and a Y Combinator alum. He is launching the XSET 501c3 Foundation to expand inclusive opportunities through gaming. So again, Greg, welcome.
Great. Thank you. Really excited to be here.
Well, as I said, I have no knowledge about gaming, about any of this world, but tell us a little bit more about how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. So, two questions: how I got to here today, and also gaming. So why don't I start with gaming? So gaming, there's 3.5 billion people that game worldwide.
Right.
45% of them are women, all different backgrounds, all different countries.
Interesting.
Gaming is basically driving pop culture now. It's much more than playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the folks that create content while they're gaming, so kids by the millions watch other people game, and it's almost like a talk show or entertainment. They're gaming, they're speaking to their fans. It's really where, the attention is for all the 12 to 34-year-olds. And, there's a real intersection with music, fashion, art, entertainment, and traditional sports. So that's kind of where we live. We're really building the first sort of media company around it in the way we approach it. How did I get here from today? Well, it's been an interesting road. I, grew up in Boston, went to Rollins undergrad, went to Harvard for grad school. I started a company called Karma Loop in my parents' basement between college and grad school. Grew that business over $1 billion in revenue under my tenure. I sold a big chunk of it to Insight Venture Partners, had a good exit, made a lot of money. Had a second exit, was terrible, went through a really tough experience where it was a restructuring and learned a lot of lessons. Left there, rebounded, went to Y Combinator, started another company with an entrepreneur named Paul Judge, who's a very successful entrepreneur out of Atlanta. He has Tech Square Labs at Georgia Tech. I think his company Pindrop is worth over $1 billion. He's a real rock star entrepreneur, great guy.
Mm-hmm.
After that, moved to West Hollywood with my wife and kids. Wound up, becoming co-head of Phase Clan.
Mm-hmm.
Really, that was a business that I didn't start. It was the first business I didn't start, but it wasn't really a business. It was a bunch of guys who are creating content, kind of what we do now. And I kind of put the business infrastructure in, raised $40 million, brought in Jimmy Iovine, who's a legend. Beats by Dre was his big success. Plus, he's a huge music producer. I mean, the guy's just sort of incredible human being. As the lead investor, after 2 years, I sold my equity in the company, made a lot of money there. So that was a good one. And then I moved back to Boston with my wife and kids because Both our parents are here and we wanted to raise our kids in Boston.
They wanted the grandkids.
Oh yeah, exactly. It made it a lot easier than
Mhm.
living in LA with no grandparents. So, and then we launched X out on the cover of the style section in the New York Times, really planting our flag in the ground. We're going to be a different kind of gaming organization. Our thesis was that gaming needed a media company, same way sports had Barstool Sports and Bleacher Report and Overtime and brands like Good Golf or Dude Perfect, which is basketball related. Got a bunch of creators, a bunch of athletes involved from the NBA, NFL, big time musicians, people like Lil Wayne. And essentially, we create content on TikTok, on YouTube, and on Twitch, and we monetize that content by selling advertising to large consumer brands. So we've done deals with Samsung, Spotify, Gatorade, Nike, McDonald's, Amazon, Google, DoorDash, JBL. So, I mean, we're working with major Fortune 500 companies. We're really just at sort of break even now. It took a long time to get here, but it was very much a new model and an industry that was very misunderstood. So we had to really persevere for a long time to kind of get here today, where it has not been an easy journey, but we are getting it done and we're building something really, really valuable. And we still have our challenges, but I'm pretty excited on where we are, how I got here, and generally I'm very lucky guy and very grateful for all the folks that have helped me get to this point and to have the opportunity to get up every day and you know work for myself and build something for myself. As much as anytime anything goes wrong, it's also my responsibility.
Right. The buck stops with you. Mhm.
Damn right. And I like that. I try to own that. Right. So, but yeah, so that's how I got here today. Deb.
I love it. And one of the things you mentioned is gaming is misunderstood. And I'll put my hand up with that, right? One of the things that, especially people of my generation, we think, ew, gamers are people that just sit in their mom's basement. They don't work. They just sit and play games. And there are some of those, right? And they could also be 60 years old, right? I don't know if they'd be in their parents' basement, but
Never know.
yeah, you never know. But it is such a big business. And of course, the people who are playing, the gamers, are consumers. And I love that is why you've incorporated all of this, is they're like, oh, I want that jacket. I want to buy that jacket. I want to drink that Gatorade, whatever it is. And it really is a huge business. And these, the people who play have the money to do it.
Yeah, so I think so there are gamers who are in their mom's basement, that's true. But it's like saying, you know, uh, you know, every XYZ is like this, right? It's gaming is a third of the world. So there's all types of people. I think what happens is, there's a disconnect because I think people really 40 and up generally they looked at gaming as something when they did it as a kid, it was a solitary thing, or you had a couple friends over, you're in the living room. It was just the game itself that was the whole shebang. And like basically, it was something you grew out of when you turned 14,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Gaming today is a social
Right. You have teams, you have, everything like that.
not only teams, because that's the competitive side of gaming, which is 5-10% of the whole
Right.
gaming world, where it's like sports, right? You get on a team, you want to win, and there's fans, right? That's not our focus. Our focus is on gaming as a lifestyle pastime, right? Just like someone who's really into golf, they wear certain clothes, they like to go to certain vacations. Like, well, gaming is really kind of the epicenter of youth culture. First of all, gamers are all over the world and they play with each other, right? So you can be playing a game. There's 90 other people in that game that you can meet through that because they're all, you're interconnected. It's on through the web. Second, there's tons of pop culture references. Kim Kardashian's got skins in the game. LeBron James. I mean, there's pop culture lives in the game, right? You can wear Nike shoes on your avatar. There's all, they're called skins. So there's huge business where you can buy product for your avatar and wear it in the game. There's music played in the game, right? So you learn about new music. There's trends that are created. And then there's all these folks have used that medium of gaming to build personalities in the space so our biggest star is a guy named Clicks, when he walks down the street, it's like, the Beatles. Like he's a
Mhm.
true celebrity. Mr. Beast is probably the most famous one. He's out of North Carolina. His current company's valued at $5 billion. He doesn't make the games. He started off playing Minecraft. He creates content on YouTube, and he has consumer products, and he generates over $1 billion a year revenue. So the point is that, where movie stars or rock stars might have been big for another generation, famous gamers who are really entertainers, it's not really about how well they play the game, are the new rock stars, are the new and then they're doing other things, right? They're creating content, they're dating people, there's gossip, what are they wearing, what brands do they like. It's basically just a lateral shift from other, whether it be a radio personality or a silent movie star or a regular movie star or a TV star or rock star or a hip hop star or a DJ. There's a trend line throughout history, and it's really just a lot of the actual components are human components and are very similar. But just like everything, especially in the society we live in today, we like to simplify it into archetypes. Oh, gamers like this, or someone who lives in the South
In the
is like
basement
this.
in their jammies.
Yeah, and someone who lives in the North is like this, and someone from England's like this. But the reality is, it's far more complicated. And the bottom line is, everyone's a gamer from 12 to 34. Practically everyone. 90% of them would tell you that.
Yeah, and it stunned me when you said 45% are women. I don't know why. I mean, again, that's, my stereotype is that it's young men. And of course the thing that interests me is women have the money. Women are the ones who are saying this is where the money goes.
Yeah.
And so to get them involved, and when you've got women involved as part of the process, it's also showing young women that this is something that they might want to go into.
Yeah, I mean, we have a women's gaming collective called XX Queens, so it's a bunch of girls who create content and game together. We've got a lot of female gamers. So as just to make a distinction, we do have a few players that are professional gamers also, so they
Right.
compete, win money.
Like you have with anything, right? You've got
Right.
professional poker players, whatever.
Right, but a lot of the people we have aren't professionals. They're creating the content, right?
Very fun.
But we have an incredible group of women who are professionals in a game called Fortnite, and like the Fortnite World Championship, the top 5 slots were all exet women. So
Cool.
so we definitely over-index in women compared to other people who do what we do. Women are a big part of it. I think we're really looking now, when you talk about monetization, how do we get some of these beauty brands and other brands, female products, to understand, like, we've got these women who are idolized by tons of
Right.
women and men, that they should be working with, and that's starting to happen. But even with all those big brands I'm talking about, we get a smaller portion of their budgets, but ultimately the numbers don't lie. When we do something, the pound for pound results that we produce for them, if they did it on TV or they did it, try to buy an ad in the Super Bowl, it would cost them 100 times more, and we'll get the same results. So ultimately everything's going to move our way, and it's starting to move our way.
Right.
Because it's like, it's like saying, when here's an example that I like to use a lot. So when the internet first started, right? All the advertising for the news was in newspapers, right? Or
Right.
maybe on CNN. There was a point at some point, and I'm paraphrasing, so I don't have the number exactly right, but you get the idea. There was a point at some point where like 60% of people were now getting their news from the internet, right? But 80% of the money was still being spent in newspapers,
Right.
So it took
Which
a while
was
for
in
them
a
to,
way a waste.
yeah, because they didn't. It takes time for people to catch up, and I think we've had so much, so many challenges of explaining to people over 40 what the hell's going on. They just can't get it, or they're almost angry. Wait, you're telling me that you can make content for no money and it's just kids playing games and millions of kids are going to watch it? I'm like, yes. Oh, I can't stand that. That's terrible. Like, well, it doesn't matter whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
That's where
it's
is.
happening.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and the evolution to me is incredible, but understandable, right? Because as technology has evolved, this has evolved. I'm definitely going to show my age here. the first game that probably came out was one that I play at Pong, right?
Oh,
Beep,
yeah, that was the
boop,
original.
beep, boop. And
Yeah.
I mean, we'd sit and play for hours, beep, boop, beep, boop, right? And until our parents got mad and came in and unplugged it. But even something that simple captivated us.
Yep.
And now, of course, the programs are so incredibly sophisticated. And then
Like
if you
playing
add,
reality.
yeah, oh yeah, especially if you add in virtual reality,
Mhm.
and so yeah, it's you're there. I mean, that's the thing is it's one thing to be watching a TV program and go, ooh, that looks fun, but of course you're immersed in the game when you're playing it. You are that hero, that villain, that whatever.
100%. And the other thing is, when you were playing Pong, you're probably playing like a sister or brother or friend down
Mm-hmm,
the street.
mm-hmm.
When
Yeah,
you're
there was no connectivity.
Yeah, when you're playing now,
Mm-hmm,
you're playing with people that you can talk to them in the game. You have a
mm-hmm,
headset on, you're talking with all these people. It's very social.
mm-hmm,
It's not a solitary thing. It's a very social pastime where you're interacting with people the whole time. Other people you meet. There's many stories I've heard over the years of, people met their husband, wife on the game, and they dated for a year by just playing games together and talking before they actually
mm-hmm,
met in person.
mm-hmm.
It's a fully sort of, it's a social network of where it's not just one platform like a Facebook or an X. But it's a very social pastime.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think probably one of the first ones, and I could be wrong on this, where you really had kind of some interconnectivity would have been something like a Madden game.
Mhm.
And then but of course the internet had to evolve to the point where we were connected with other people. And I mean, I remember hearing people talking about, oh, they were playing so and so and they were, 1,000 miles away. And I, some of it is it is social. I mean, that is one of the things is, it's a great way for people to be meeting people. And maybe maybe you're an introvert and going and meeting somebody is not what you want to do. And I don't care if it's a bar, a business event, whatever it is. But when you can meet them as your character and then get to know them,
Yeah.
and then, you can go further with it. But I think that's been, something that has been kind of an offshoot of this is really being able to get people out and about. Oh, did I lose you?
I don't know. Am I
Oh,
here?
there you are. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. I'm trying to mess around my phone. I was getting some, but anyways, I can hear you fine. So
Okay, cool.
I
And you're
apologize.
back. So yeah,
Yeah.
not a problem. But yeah, I mean it is a great way for people to meet other people, and as you said, around the world.
Yeah.
And meet them in a way where they're kind of I hate to put it this way, but on a level playing field. It's not like you're the CEO or you're wanting to meet the CEO at a business event. In the online world, everybody's pretty much, even.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and by the way, you're playing your avatar, so no one knows really who you are, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
you could be 100% different. 360, no, that wouldn't be right either. Very different
Yeah.
from what you are in real life, including, different sex, different nationality, all of those things.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
Hmm.
See, you know more about it than you thought.
No, okay. Confession. I'm a huge Big Bang Theory fan.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then you got,
Right?
yeah.
Yep. And so, but and that
Have you watched Young Sheldon?
oh, I like Young Sheldon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Young Sheldon's very good. My kids love it.
Hmm. Well, and now of course we have the brother and his wife.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one yet.
It's
but-
good. It's good. It's very different.
Yeah.
And
They're different characters.
mhm. Yeah, but that goes to show how we form our realities by watching TV programs, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
when-
it's the same. It's the same thing.
Right.
And by the way, a lot of the movies and TV shows now originated with
right.
with gaming.
Hmm. Especially as technology has developed where it really can be a movie up on the big screen or on your big TV or whatever, to be able to do that is really, your, like we said, the technology has evolved to make it real. And real as in the sense that, it looks very polished, very professional.
Yes, agreed.
Mhm. So what goes into some of this? Let's kind of go from start to finish would take us a very long period of time.
Mhm.
But, if somebody says, "Hey, Greg, we got this idea," do they even call it a game? I mean, because the platform is bigger than that. So if they say,
Yeah.
we've got this idea, so kind of walk us through a little, some of the basics.
Right. So we don't make the games, right?
Okay.
We don't make the games. The games are made by studios. They cost billions and billions, millions or billions to develop. We play them, right? That's what we do. We play them and we create content playing,
Mhm.
right? So, if someone comes with an idea, I'll give you an example of a couple things that we've done, that are gaming related, but how we look at the world.
Mhm.
So one is we did a deal with AT&T for the All-Star game, right? So after the All-Star game was over, we had a 3-hour live stream. So there's a platform called Twitch where you can go live, like literally live, and create content, right? And we were one of the big users of that. It was on the homepage of Twitch. And so we basically put together an event at Venice Beach in California. We got a bunch of NBA players and a bunch of gaming creators that were our guys, right, to create content on the basketball court. It was just really the interest is the interaction. We paired a gamer and an NBA athlete. Chris Paul was the host, and they basically had a 3-point contest, or they did a dunk contest. We had to lower the rim, of course, and then we had the fans. They picked people from the audience to come in, and then at the end of the program, they played the NBA 2K game on a big screen in front of everyone, so people were watching. And of course, the NBA players played themselves because they're in the game, right?
LeBron was LeBron, assuming
yeah.
LeBron participated.
Well,
Right?
LeBron wasn't there, but that would have been good. But Chris Paul played Chris Paul, or
Okay.
so essentially, it's entertainment. And when we actually looked at the numbers, we had almost as many Gen Z folks watching our stream as watched the entire All-Star game. So if you wanted to get the exposure that we provided for a brand and do it in the All-Star game, we probably would have paid 10 million bucks, right?
At least.
We were a fraction of that cost, a fraction of that cost. Then we had a viral clip of one of the NBA athletes dunking over one of our gamers' clicks. It went viral. It was the number one most watched sports clip in the US, ahead of anything from the All-Star game, ahead of anything from the Olympics that day. So we matched the All-Star game broadcast in viewership, and we had the most viral clip on and that's a franchise that we call Hoops and Streams, and that's a show. We're going to do more of those during the basketball season, right? We have another show that's sponsored by Go-Go Squeeze, which is like a yogurt, very good product. It's actually sponsored by their electrolyte product, but we have a bunch of our creators that get together and they do challenges. Like they go to like a Ninja Warrior course, or they're famous for being gamers, but they don't play any games in this stuff. It's a competitive thing. They pick teams and and it's really funny, right? That's the main thing. It's because the fans know these people already from watching them game, and so we just put them in an environment where they've done stuff with I don't know, there's some watermelon eating contest. It's fun, stupid stuff, but people love it. It's super interesting. Spelling bee we did, and then we have another show called Fax Eats Everything. Fax is a little bit on the chunkier side. He's one of our guys, not a professional gamer. He's a content creator, and he has a show where he just has a lot of food on a table and he interviews people and they just eat the whole time, right? And that's being sponsored. We have a deal to sponsor it with a fast food company, right? That's our business. That's the type of things that we do.
Okay. So it's kind of that you're making the partnerships and the things that make sense for people to work together.
Yeah, and it's basically we're creating entertainment. It's like a TV show. It's just on different platforms. It's either live TV like Twitch, or it's YouTube, which again is like the new TV basically. And we create shows, brand sponsor them. We also sell advertising. So on YouTube, we have the ability to sell the ad units that our talent, so we have about 60 million views a month on a owned and operated YouTube channel. So it's a bunch of channels, and we can sell the advertising across it. So, hold on one second. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes, Dina, that's fine. Sorry, doing business on the
You
business.
know, this happens, right? It's a busy world.
Yeah. Yeah. So so that's just more like traditional advertising watching TV. And then the third thing we do is sometimes a brand will come to us. Like we had a deal with Samsung, it was a $1.7 million deal. They wanted to reach female gamers, as we talked about. We got a lot of female gamers. And we put together a program where we made content specifically for them. Some of it was short form on TikTok. And then we also did meet and greets where we had fan meetups with the Samsung product was there and stuff. So, we're basically, just a new approach to media. So happens our organizing principle is gaming, but we've done a lot of stuff for the NFL and the NBA and sports leagues. It's very common for gamers to be athletes. I mean, athletes to be gamers. So they all love the stuff that we do. Like, so we have a lot of opportunities to work with professional athletes too.
Right. Well, hopefully we'll see my Colorado Avalanche as sorry, I know you're in Boston.
Yeah. How come you're an Avalanche fan? And
so I'm from Colorado. I actually, I'm and so Avs, Broncos, Rockies. Yeah. Oh, poor Rockies. Yeah. But yeah, my Avs are still doing very well.
The Bruins didn't have a good
showing. They did not have a good year.
Yeah. I took my son to one of the playoff games, but we lost. I think it wasn't the one we lost 6-0, but we lost 3-2 or 3-1. But yeah, I'm a Bruins fan, so.
Yeah, I figured you would be. But that, I am also a big college sports person. Yeah. And so do you see, and I mean, I know NIL and all of that makes this very complicated, but do you see this kind of moving into having some college athletes?
We've already done it. So we did a deal with Spotify, the music thing. And we did a 3-part live stream, right? So this was more set up like a living room, right? So and the theme was, college rivalries, right?
Okay.
So we got college football players, obviously they weren't playing at the time or whatever. We matched them up, and then we also had some gamers and some hosts and stuff, and they played Madden, and it was, again, like what's really important for your listeners to understand is the Madden part's fun, but no one's really keeping score, really that focused. It's about the dialogue, talking smack to each other.
Yep.
Yeah, and like it's just a tool to get. It's like maybe Johnny Carson would serve everyone scotch, right, to relax them. We're having them play games, but it's really about the content.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned Johnny Carson. Do you bring in? Obviously that was kind of not a real reference, but because of this world, are you able to bring in people who have passed?
Well, I mean, I love to bring in Johnny Carson. Unfortunately, he's dead, as you mentioned.
I know, but there's certainly a lot of footage of him out there.
Well, I mean, look, that can be done with AI. I mean, we haven't done anything like that, but we have brought in a lot of different celebrities.
I'm thinking bring Madden back, right?
Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, like all that stuff's going to happen, but that's not really our focus.
Right. That does bring me though to the big question that everybody's talking about is AI. How involved is AI in what you guys are doing?
I mean, we use it across the board in everything we do. AI is very good in our world to understand data and collect data.
Right.
We are not, we think our competitive advantage is that we're not AI.
Okay, you're people. Heavens.
Yeah, you can't replace them. You can't replace our guys. I mean, in theory you can, right? Which is you could make AI creators, but they're not going to resonate, and not to the extent where. So it's like a lot of people are a new thing comes around and say this will never happen. it's going to happen. There's going to be some, right? But it's not going to be a meaningful amount. Like there's a few people who create cartoon characters, whatever, that are going to be creators. And folks have already tried to do it, and it's working more in Asia. But at the end of the day, they still want to know what people are doing. They want to have people that they feel are real and that they feel like they know. So we're in a position where you can't really do what we're doing in AI. You can use AI to make it more efficient. You can use AI to edit. You can use AI to
in the marketing, all of those things. But
yeah. But we haven't found an application directly that like we want to build or create. That doesn't mean there's not going to be one. We use sort of the regular off the shelf AI in our accounting, in our editing a little bit, but not a ton. In our data collection and a lot of stuff that our day-to-day work. But at the end of the day, and we can learn a lot about what our talent is doing online, what's working, what's not working. But at the end of the day, our sort of value to people is that we have real people that are, and so I frankly think we're in a really good position compared to other, what could possibly see happening is like we create one AI character, right? That's part of XSET. It's clear that it's AI.
Right.
We make it really fun and interesting, but it's a segment. It's not, but
right.
If we replaced our creators wholesale with AI, it would be over like that. No one would want.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I see, with things is, you still have to have that human element. It can like draft a report. It can do, one of the things, obviously people are the creative part. Oh my God, it's gonna do all the graphics. It's gonna write the script, all of those things, but the AI, at least, now, who knows what it's going to evolve into, isn't going to put the humanity into things. It might, I keep telling people when it calls me Hal, I'm really going to think there's a problem. But yeah, it is just a tool. And I love that you're using it, but still really, really embracing the human that makes what you do work so well.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things you talked a bit about, I want to do just a little bit more about it, is the concept of all the changing media. Oh yeah, that's another one of those things that I've seen major changes in. I still watch a little bit of network TV, but not really a lot. And we recently switched to YouTube.
Yeah.
And so we watch YouTube Live. We watch, anything and Prime. Between those two, those are predominantly what we watch. But one of the things that I like about them is the limited ads. Talking about Big Bang Theory. A 30-minute program, 10 minutes are ads, if not more. If you're just watching on regular network TV, because they got bills to pay. I get it. But when you go on the new media platforms, they don't have all of those expenses, or they have so many eyeballs that they can shorten it. And so where do you see things maybe evolving into?
Yeah, well, I think a couple things is one is a lot of our brand exposure is in the content in itself. So you can't remove it.
It's yeah, they've got the jacket on. They've got the Nikes on.
And their brand name is saying, it's like sponsored by or presented by.
Right. It's embedded. I mean, that's not the right word, but
I think the vast majority, you and I do the same thing, pay for the non-ad version. Most people don't.
Right.
It's because it costs more money. So either the YouTube can subsidize the lack of ads by making money off the user directly, or they put ads, and a lot of people, don't have a problem watching ads. So as of now, I don't think
you go to the bathroom.
Yeah, especially younger people, but if it's cheaper. But for us, that we'll see what happens there. But we.
You've frozen.
Are you here?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you again. Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying at the end of the day, we have entertainment content that has branding in it, so it's not really separable.
Right. And we've always had, and I'll put this in my little air quotes, product placement, right? You're watching a criminal show, and and the detectives are using a MacBook, right? And
Yeah.
so you see the Apple logo
Yeah.
on, and so that's always been there.
Yeah.
And, or, the cars, right? I always love it when you're watching, like a chase scene and they
Mhm.
zoom in on the car logo or the emblem.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so now we know they're driving an Audi or,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I mean, so we've always had that and it didn't bother people. So, it's not going to bother them to have it in their game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people expect it.
Right. Yeah,
And,
because
and we,
yeah,
and
we know
our,
bills got to get
our,
paid.
yeah. And our approach to it is like, we're not going to put out stuff that's bad just because there's an ad and it's got to still be good.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that was the thing that I always get a kick out of sometimes with product placement. And I'm a marketing person, right? And is when when there's a mismatch. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, somebody paid a lot of money to have whatever that is in that scene, and it
Mhm.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's okay if they're on a computer and they're and you see the logo,
Mhm.
but yeah, if it's something weird, then and the same thing would be in a game. I mean,
Mhm.
we catch those mismatches, and then of course it takes us out of the moment. Now, it's one thing if it takes us out of the moment when we're watching a TV show. If it takes us out of the moment in a game, our
Mhm.
character could get killed. And so you don't want to have things like that happen.
Yeah. Totally agree.
So, okay, so I am curious. How much of your time do you spend gaming?
Zero to a very small amount because I get to ask that question a lot.
Mhm.
And the fact is, like, I have to spend my time actually making this stuff
Right.
happen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
My son plays a lot of Fortnite, which is our
Mhm.
and I watch it with him. Sometimes I play, but
Mhm.
I played in the past, but I really, uh, I'm watching a lot of it, so I know what's going on.
Mhm.
And it's someone's got to actually make the culture move, and so it takes a
Right.
lot. I mean,
Mhm.
when I tell you I work from the minute I get up to the time I go to bed, I do that every day, 6 days a week, and maybe half a day on Sunday.
Mhm.
And it's either that or spending time with my family.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's not a small task to be an entrepreneur when you're building a business from
Mhm.
scratch.
Right. And in when I gave your bio, we talked about you being an entrepreneur and you've had some big successes and you
Mhm.
mentioned yourself, you've had some things that went wrong.
Yep.
So what are some lessons that we can learn from the oopsies?
You know, I think one is really making sure you're working with good people who want a good outcome. I think what happened with the one sort of major sort of blip
Mhm.
on my life as an entrepreneur was that I didn't vet the people I was going to get an investment from and work with as P group, and they just had different
Mhm.
values and they were aligned. We weren't aligned. They wanted the company, they wanted to be in control, and they weren't working with me. They were working against me, right?
Mhm.
So I think the really being careful about who you're working with,
Mhm.
and the other thing is that if over the totality of my life as an entrepreneur, I've had a lot of success.
Mhm.
You can't bat 1,000. You're just not gonna.
Right.
It's not gonna
Yeah.
happen. I had
Mhm.
a big what do they call a slump, but it was relatively it was
Mhm.
deep, but it was
Mhm.
relatively short. It was like
Mhm.
a year of some
Mhm.
really challenging business
Mhm.
stuff, and I bounced back very quickly.
Mhm.
I think the fact is, like, if you're gonna be really in life, you can't keep score. You just gotta understand that you're gonna get there. It's inevitable statistically. You're gonna have some failures. You're gonna have some things go wrong. We can all name like the three things that in our life where things didn't work out the way we planned. But you just gotta keep continuing to focus on the future and building the future. So, I've been very lucky because I have been able to
Mhm.
mostly be able to build and do things that put my energy towards growth as
Mhm.
opposed to dealing with crisis.
Mhm. Right. I mentioned in your bio that you have an advanced degree from Harvard, and I looked at your profile on LinkedIn, and that degree is in public policy and municipal planning. And my
Mhm.
first thought was, huh? And then I thought that makes perfect sense for what you're doing now, right? Because it is about the planning, all of that. And I thought that was a very cool kind of tie-in.
Yeah, I mean that's what you know, I I didn't apply to the business school because
Mhm.
at the time, my mom's an urban planner, and I thought I was going to do, after college, and I thought I was going to do that. I happened to start this. So I don't come from entrepreneurship or business in the sense that like it was even planned. It just,
Yeah, I've talked
yeah,
with people who I'm a fifth generation entrepreneur.
no, no.
Okay.
My dad's a scientist. My mom is an urban planner. My dad's done some stuff in biotech in later years and done well there, but
Mhm.
you know, wasn't really like a business focused family. So it wasn't, I kind of had the entrepreneurial bug naturally. And so when I started the Carmel, which was my first business, I had another job. I was working for the city of Boston in the planning department. And so it was something that I was doing on the side, and then it just started growing. And then I'm like, holy shit, I could. But by that time, I'd already gotten into Harvard. So the business was already starting to happen. And I'm like, I might as well get a degree. I got in,
And
right?
it is kind of nice to say you have a degree from
Yeah,
Harvard.
that's what. And by the way, a lot of what I learned, statistics, economics, all that stuff can be applied to what we're doing. And yeah, and I took some courses at the business school, and I took some really, government or leadership is kind of school is the understanding that stuff for business is very important too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's very important. And of course, the planning, the start to finish. I mean,
Yeah,
and that is very much what happens in an urban setting.
yeah.
It's like we got a field. Now, what are we going to do with this field? You've got a
By the
blank
way, I still
slate.
love all that stuff. I read a lot of books still about cities and architecture, and that's almost my hobby.
And in like the 20 minutes you have a day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's generally I read about 20 minutes before I go to bed. I normally read or listen to something. Climbs me down. A
Yeah.
lot of history. I'm not doing a lot of city planning right now, but a lot of history. I want to do something that's not related to my work.
Yeah.
Right?
That your brain, like you said, you wind down. Your brain
Yeah.
goes, okay, we're done for the day.
Yeah.
I love it. And I mean, it is a big switch from what you were doing to working with youth culture. And, how, and I mean, I mentioned Y Combinator. How is it that you went, okay, I want to work with kids? And I say kids because they're all young enough to be my grandkid. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I started off as part of the demo when I started Carmel. I was in my 20s, right? So,
Okay.
and I've always liked culture, right? And it tends to be that like sort of the cutting edge of culture are younger people, right? I'm way out of the demo, but I still understand the demo. And then I also rely on younger people to give me input. To a certain extent, I'd say you could also define it as I like pop culture, right? It just so happens
Right.
that culture has a lot of young people driving it.
And that's the
Well,
way it always is.
yeah. But I mean, look, I aged out, during the time I was at Carmeloop, but we go up to about 34 in our age group, and now it's going to get older and older because people are not stopping playing video
Right.
games.
It's
They're in their
aging with
40s.
them.
Yeah. But I don't know. I like things that are fun and interesting and creative, and that tends to also be youth focused or young adult focused.
Right. And and it's like we said, there is money there. I mean, that's the thing. We tend to forget that.
Not only is there money, it's the most valuable consumer that everyone wants to reach because not only do they have disposable income, but they also, once you get them to be a fan of your brand, they're hopefully a fan
Oh,
for
they're
life.
loyal.
Yeah.
Incredibly loyal.
Mhm.
Right, right. And so do you keep that loyalty? Is that a core of what you're doing is to really think how, we don't want to alienate anybody?
Yeah, I mean, we'd like to think we have a lot of loyalty and excitement around our brand from our fans, and they know us, and they want to buy our merchandise, they want to go to our events, they want to consume our content, because I think we've been around now for years, and we're doing every day. There's lots of little genuine interactions, lots of little points that we put on the board. Sometimes we take a few points off in the minds of our fans, right? And so you can't just like create Xset out of whole cloth and expect it to be popular. We had to pay our dues in a lot of ways where we weren't making money or very little, where we were just building the content, building the culture, building the excitement. And now it's only been about a year and a half that we've been able to monetize the way we're monetizing.
I love that. So speaking of monetizing, kind of in a different way. I mentioned at the start that you're launching a 501(c)(3). Tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, I think look, first of all, it's not launching tomorrow. Let's put it that way. It's definitely something that's on the horizon for us. I think one of the things like we like to say about XED is like we're the baddest good guys on the planet, and what that means is like we've got swagger, we've got style. We don't take things too seriously, but we are trying to like be good people, right? There's a lot of people in the space and media, whatever. Their whole persona is kind of being a jerk. We're not that, right? And so, and then Clicks, who's our biggest star, he does a ton of stuff where he helps people. Make-A-Wish Foundation, raised a whole bunch of money for cancer and the Jimmy Fund Walk. He gives away computers and video game systems to underprivileged kids. So our goal is, as we continue to grow, it's symbiotic with what we do anyways. And by the way, it makes good content. Like if we can do more stuff to help people and we can talk about it and film it, it also helps the brand. So, ultimately, I would say that we've started looking at it. I would think it probably won't launch until like Q1 of 27 because we're just in the middle of raising money and we're really focused on other stuff. But it is an ultimate goal and something we are already, putting the steps in place to ultimately launch. And we just think it's part of what we do.
Right. Well, and it's a great thing with your partners, as you mentioned, and because many of them aren't jerks, but they get, they get a bad reputation. And so when they're able to give back, that's good.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah. And we can do joint partnerships with folks who Walmart or whatever, who might be trying to do nonprofit stuff as well. So again, it all helps. It all helps the brand, all helps the direction. Plus we want to do some good in the world.
Right. Well, and we've heard all of the reports that millennials want to work with companies that do good.
Yeah.
And I mean, an example now that I see a lot of are the Amazon commercials, because like I said, I watch a lot of Prime that are talking about the sustainable products, and there's buttons that you can click when you're shopping and you're only getting those things. People are finally figuring out, hey, this is a limited space we're in. Maybe we should be taking a little bit better care of it.
Yeah, tell me about it. We're going the wrong direction these days, but the environment is something that young people care about. Obviously, there's a lot of issues around income inequality in this country, so I think trying to provide underprivileged kids with the opportunity to be a gamer, to create the content, to be the next Clicks or next Mr. Savage or T Grizzly, who's one of our other big streamers. So, we not only hit millennials, Gen Z is a big part of what.
Right.
I don't know what they say about Gen Z or not, but we're just going to do what we do, and if people like it, great. We're not directly involved in any like political activism. We don't touch any of that stuff,
which you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because talk about a disconnect. People really would go, what?
Yeah. So our focus is just helping people if we can.
Right. And I want to talk a little bit more about women. And has it made it easier that, especially with women athletes, we're seeing them more and more? Probably one of the most recognized people right now, at least in the US, if not worldwide, is Caitlin Clark. And she seems like she's a pretty good cookie. And we are seeing more women that are good role models, I think is probably the best way to put it. And so is that making it easier for you to really incorporate them in what you're doing?
Yeah, well, first of all, there's a huge interest in women's sports. We almost did something with the WNBA. Unfortunately, didn't come together, which is true. More than 50% of deals you try to happen, they generally don't happen. But we did stuff with a big female soccer player named Allie Long. I think the women's sports is definitely coming in its own. I mean, the female hockey team in the Fleet.
The fact that they won gold and
yeah. Well, I mean, in Boston sold out the Boston Garden was the biggest crowd ever for a women's hockey match. Obviously, we won the gold. WNBA. I mean, women's Major League Soccer. So women in sports are definitely like it's got to be growing faster than any other segment and anything else. Gaming's growing very fast as well. But yeah, so we're seeing the same thing in women's gaming and gaming creators, and yeah, they tend to be good role models. But you know, men and women, there's plenty of bad ones and good ones. It really just depends on the person.
Well,
And
and yeah, sometimes they're just a bad person, and sometimes they make a stupid mistake, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not perfect, and
Mhm.
we're not telling our talent that they have to be, you
Right.
know, super goody two shoes. We're just saying that at the end of the day, just
Mhm.
try to be a good person. Certain things
Right.
we want you
Make
to
your
do.
mother proud.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. Right.
I can't
And
do I can't make my mother proud, so they at least can do it for me.
that's it. That's it. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because like I'm in Atlanta. WNBA is actually really pretty big down here.
Yeah,
And now we have Angel Reese who
yeah,
is here. And so I've been seeing a lot of stories about how much she is maturing. Because I think there for a while she was getting a little bit of a bad reputation. And I don't know, deserved or not,
mhm.
but she's really trying to turn that around. And
Yeah. I mean, we see for one, I can't comment that, and I'm sure some of it was unfair. Just that's my
Mhm.
gosh. But we deal with that with our gamers, right? Like they do make mistakes. They say it because they're on camera all the time, right?
Right.
And then we try to help them mature. Like Clicks,
Mhm.
again, I go back to
Mhm.
Clicks. He's our biggest star
Mhm.
guy. I really believe in.
Mhm.
He's the future of this space. He's over time learned to be more and more brand safe without
Right.
losing who he is as a
Mhm.
person.
Mhm.
And I think, we got to cut. I think we all as society got to cut people a little slack because nowadays everything you say is on social media,
Yep.
is on cameras.
Mhm.
So a lot of it can be taken out of context.
Mhm.
And so I think, it's much more important to look at the totality of like
Mhm.
how they've tried to improve or who they are as a person than focusing on one or, playing these gotcha things. And, you know, and people are biased, right? So if they don't like the person, they're going to interpret
They're
something
gonna
they
look for
really,
something.
really
Mhm.
try to get them,
Mhm.
right? So I'm not a big believer in like, uh, hanging people out to dry for their worst moments in their life, but there's a limit, right? We're not gonna, there's certain things that would happen that or could be said that we would have to part ways with someone or whatever. But generally we're trying to we try to point everyone in the right direction. We don't force them to go there.
Right. Yeah, because again, it is about, being authentic to yourself. So you can be edgy. You can, breaking the law and doing things, yeah, maybe not so much. But that said, I mean, we all go a little over the speed limit on occasion. But
Sometimes a lot.
we shouldn't be, a DUI. I mean, that's
Yeah.
but yeah, it is something, and maybe that's part of this whole thing too with people are just getting older. We're
Mhm.
learning, oh, maybe we shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think anytime there's like a new technology or media change, there's always a lot of hysteria and stuff. And I think ultimately, I'm hoping that ultimately, like the way people treat each other on social media and the way they talk to each other and the insults and all that stuff, I feel like there's some, comes from the top all the way down, right? So there seems to be some backlash now. People are trying to say like this is ridiculous, like how do we communicate as people
Right.
that we can't even we just make it the someone you disagree with, we make them into like the boogeyman instead of having a discussion, right? So um yeah, I'm hopeful that over time as we get more used to this media and it's harder to be anonymous, right? Because part of it is you could just say terrible things and
Right.
there was no
And that
consequence.
screen makes a real good
Yeah.
shield.
Yeah. So I think, obviously I would like to see that more of that, obviously in politics and life with young people.
Mhm.
And I think there is a movement now slowly. I'm just noticing that I think
Right.
yeah, there are people kind of like, what the hell? Like, what are we doing? This
Right.
is this is not a good use of
Right.
our brain power.
Well, and what's best is when other people come to somebody's defense, right?
Yeah.
Because it sounds a little hollow when we do it ourselves. But and I mean, we've always done that. 20 years ago, I worked for a big corporation And a big part of what we did was philanthropic efforts in the community. And it was just very important to us. I mean, that was really part of our goal. But we also knew that now they call it social credibility, right? Back then it was, ooh, if something happens, people are going to stand up for us. And it's the same way now.
Yeah, and we'll stand up for our talent. Things happen, but I also counsel our talent, and frankly, they've listened to me. Like, just don't respond to that. Who gives a shit?
Just don't. Yeah.
Because that's that one person's shot to have some relevance. You're doing your own thing.
Right.
Don't get. And by the way, that works because people's attention span, they're tiny, tiny, tiny. And if you throw fuel in the fire, it will go quickly go the wrong direction.
Right. See, now this will show my age. One of the things that we that I learned very early in my career was, don't get in a fight with the media because they buy their ink by the barrel.
Yeah.
That was what we used, right? And because they controlled it.
Yeah.
And it's the same way now. If you just ignore, no matter, now there are some times where, yes, you do need to defend
Well, the thing
yourself.
is, the media is not controlled anymore, right? So for better or for worse, it's people, right? So you can have all sorts of craziness, and the downside is people don't know what's true, and there's a lot of misinformation. But the other thing is there's less power concentrated in one. And although there are people who build up very big profiles and they have a lot of power, I think the bottom line is, like, what are you winning if you win a fight on social media?
Was it worth it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I am as hopefully as non-controversial as you can get. And I have had people call me an idiot on Facebook. And I'm like, really? And not often, because I really don't try to, do anything where, but I'm like, I don't even know who you are. And I go, well, that's just weird. And I go,
well, I mean, the misinformation I see people say about me or my companies or whatever, I mean, I just don't read it. And I don't know about it. Like, you're not gonna get, like, I also tell a lot of the talent, don't read it, because there's people are gonna say horrible things no matter who you are. You suck. It's like, well, like, dude, what have you done in your life? We're actually, you, me, our talent, they're actually putting themselves out there trying to do something. It's easy to be a critic.
Right.
Everyone's a fucking critic, excuse me. No one is, but very few people actually. I get advice from people, sometimes unsolicited, that is insane, where they're telling me how why I'm doing everything wrong, why this was a mistake, and they have no basis in.
They are the people in their mom's basement.
Yeah, they have no basis in. They haven't actually done anything. So it's like, there are people who criticize me or give me feedback, whatever that. But I definitely, like, I'm not a believer that everyone's an expert, right? Like, I'm not going to get my medical advice equally from someone online as I am going to get from a doctor or someone. And so I think, like, to me, it's like, there are people who I will listen to, but one of the things that really drives me nuts. And I think if you're an entrepreneur, just I feel your pain, and I deal with it all the time. Even with all the success I have, most people don't want to invest. And many times they're not very nice about it. Right. And also oftentimes they'll rip your business apart, and they just have a degree. They never actually started a business. Right.
Right.
And so I think, like, as entrepreneurs, people like you or entrepreneur in media and my talent, you just can't take it personally, because otherwise
you'd never get out of bed.
Yeah, you just. I mean, there are a few times, like, I've felt like I got to say something to this investor, and have dressed them down, saying, "Hey, man, I worked my ass off. You told me you were going to do this, and it's wrong what you're doing. You just dismiss me. You don't call me back. And then you don't have the guts to just say, hey, I couldn't actually do it, or I don't have the money, or whatever." There's a few times, maybe once a year, where I'll push back. Most of the time, I just don't have the time. Unless if they're egregious, I will say something.
Right.
But that's one out of every 10,000 that I feel so.
And you don't want to burn that bridge, because you never know when something might change, and they're going to think back and think, how did he treat me when I was a putz?
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of people who burn bridges with me that in the future but even then, I'm like, I'm not out for revenge. I just maybe wouldn't work with them.
Right. Well, oh my gosh, Greg, we are almost at the top of the hour. This has been so enlightening and so interesting. And I think it is great fun. And I'd love to have you on when we go into the next generation of whatever the heck it is.
That'd be great. I'd love to hear.
The glasses, all of those things.
Yeah,
Somebody
that's coming.
Yeah,
Hasn't
the
happened yet.
implants, right?
I already have an implant.
Yeah.
No, not really.
And you're actually not there. I'm talking to an AI.
Yeah, this isn't even me. I don't exist.
But excuse me, but tell me more about XSET and what are the products and services that you provide?
Yeah, I mean, it is very basic. We provide entertainment through content, through media, right? And it's either media we create or media we help facilitate creating by having other content creators under our brand. We sell merchandise. We're going to do a CPG, which to the layman means consumer packaged goods, which means snacks. But the vast majority of our time is creating stuff that our audience likes, and then helping brands authentically reach our audience. That's it. That's all we do. We want to be the next MTV, or we want to be like Mr. Beast, who's $5 billion brand. But instead of focused on just Mr. Beast, which, by the way, who we love and we've done content with, we just want it to be more about the brand itself and the people underneath it. But, so we're not like reinventing the wheel. We're just doing it in a little bit of a different genre, which is the gaming lifestyle.
Right. I love it. I love it. Well, we will have links to your LinkedIn profile and to your company website in the show notes. And I encourage people to check it out and, be like me, go, oh, maybe this isn't just people in their basement at their mother's house. And because it's a great opportunity for so many companies out there. And so I encourage you to check it out. We will have you on again, but until then, do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, first of all, if you want to follow me, my handle on all social platforms is Selkoe, Selkoe. That's my last name. Our social handle for XSET is just XSET on all platforms. So got good social, easy social handles there. I just say that, like, look, don't underestimate the size of this market, how big it's going to be, where it's going. It's only the beginning. Ultimately, if you're a consumer brand or you're someone who needs to reach the 12 to 34-year-old demo, you need us. You need us like you need oxygen. And so if you don't kind of understand that now, you're going to understand it later. So you're better off getting it on board now. And also, I love helping other entrepreneurs, or at least talking to them. So if folks want to reach out, I try to get back. It's not something sometimes I do quickly just because I got a lot going on. But if you don't hear from me, it's because it slipped through the cracks. I'm not blowing you off. So just try again.
Oh my gosh. This has been so much fun. I am Deb Creer. I've been talking with Greg Selkoe, the co-founder and CEO of XSET. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.